Do you actually know how to use your credit card, or are you just swiping and making sure that utilization is under 30%? Let's talk about it.
I'm in my bag now, no time for feelings, yeah, I ain't sad now. Gave you free game and you did nothing, now you're mad how? Got it off the muscle, I ain't have to keep no doors down. The one selling out, ask for keys to their mama house, it's up now. On a new way, so yeah, it's up, now they up now. They done slept too long, it's time to show them, now they doubted me. Had their own limits on all that I can be, they clocking me. Wanna know what's next, now they watching me.
Hi millionaires. Today we're going to discuss how to actually use your credit card so that it's beneficial to your credit score and not actually harming you more than it's helping you. Make sure that you follow me on all platforms at Ericka and at the Millionaire Table. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, click that notification bell, and make sure that when you are notified that I post a video that you actually watch it and comment on it. But anyways, let's dive into the video. So the first thing you want to know when it comes down to your credit card is utilization. Make sure that if you are utilizing your card, let's just go with the $300 limit. If you have a $300 limit, every month before your statement closes, make sure that you pay that down to under 30%, which would mean $99 or less. The way that you calculate how much 30% is of your credit card is you multiply your total credit limit by 0.30. That will give you 30%. That is your limit to what your balance should be on your statement closing date, not your due date. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. We'll talk about the difference, but make sure before your statement close. So you can pay your credit card as many times as you want a month. I know people tell you, oh, do twice a week or bi-weekly and all of this stuff. You can literally pay your credit card 100 times a month. As long as you have a balance, you can pay it. So therefore, there's really not a hack to say, hey, pay it only this many times or that many times. Literally pay your credit card as many times as you need to get it under that percentage. Now, granted, if you cannot pay your credit card down to under 30% utilization, then at the very least, pay your minimum. Pay your minimum before your due date. 9 times out of 10, your due date is likely 7 to 10 days after your statement close. So if your statement closes around the 24th of the month, then your due date is probably about the 4th of the following month. So if your statement date is around May 25th, then your due date for your credit card is normally going to be June 5th or somewhere around there. So if that sounds like you, what you need to do is go to your online banking, go to your statements, and then see what the date is. See when your statement closed. Or a lot of times, if you are on the online banking, you can always see statement close. I know Navy Federal has it where it shows statement close or statement. It'll show a statement and then it'll show your next charge. So whatever that date is, your statement closing date is the key date to get your stuff paid down by. So again, pay down your card by your statement date, not your due date. Now, again, at the very least, if you can't do anything else and you forget all the other days, do not miss that due date. Because whatever balance you have on the statement closing date is the balance that is going to report to the bureaus, not what you have on the due date. What you have on the statement closing date. So let's just say you paid your card on your due date. Let's just say you had a $300 limit. You spent off $290. Your statement closed. And then you paid it down to $100 on your due date. Well, it already reported $290 to the credit bureau. So now you're using almost over 90% of your overall credit utilization. And now your utilization is high and your credit score is going to be low. If you pay the card down, you can use it as many times as you want, but do not use your card. So like, for example, if your statement closed, you can use your card from your statement closing date all the way until your statement finna close again. But pay your cards down by the statement date. Now, your due date. So between your statement date and your due date, it's kind of like a period of just, right? Your due date is coming up. It's going to be whatever's due on the balance for the month before. So whatever balance you had for the statement that closed, that's what's due. And then after your due date comes, Then you kind of like have the rest of the month to kind of keep going, and then everything kind of recycles again. The most important date is really your statement date, not your due date. Your due date is important because at least if you pay by the time your if you pay before, like for example, if you pay before your statement close, right? Sometimes that payment does not report for the due date, if that makes sense. So like if you pay it down to like, if you pay your $300 balance down to like $100, right? And you pay it before your statement closed. Now a new statement comes and now you have a new due date. Sometimes some banks, because you paid right around that statement date, it'll utilize that payment for your due date. So then you'll see a $0 payment due on your due date. If you pay your statement, right? If you pay your credit card by your statement and then it closes, and then you see a due date for the next month and it's not zero, make sure you pay that whatever that balance is. If you're going to pay the balance or the minimum, make sure you pay that. Why? Because that means that your bank did not they did not take the payment that you made by the statement date. They did not utilize it for that payment for the month. They probably utilized it as an extra payment. So therefore, it's not going to be accounted for your due date. So that's the only time where your due date really, really is going to matter. So therefore, again, if you're going to pay it down to zero by your statement, you're going to be good. But if you pay it, if you're just paying it down and you're still going to carry a balance, when the statement closes, you have your new billing cycle, it's going to generate. That's how you know if a new statement has came out. It's going to generate the next month. So if you are in May and you still see a due date for May, your statement haven't closed yet. But if you're in May and you see a due date for June, then your statement has closed and your June due date is from the May balance. So I know I talk fast and I don't want to confuse you, but you want to make sure that anytime you see that due date, that it's a $0 payment due. If it shows a payment due, that means that whatever payments you have made was not accounted for that due date. So therefore, yeah, pay your credit card, if you got to pay the minimum. For example, if you already paid majority of it, you only got a little minimum, pay the minimum. You know what I mean? You definitely want to carry a little balance. I always try to carry like a 10% balance on a couple cards, just because when you pay them all down to zero, the bureaus they're constantly reporting zero. So therefore, they're not showing any utilization. But when you carry a small balance, I always say the key is 10%. Under 30% is great, but 10% is that key area that you want to be in, because when it's around 10%, they like, oh yeah, she know what she doing. He know what he doing. So the key area is to kind of have a balance of around 10%, no more than that. But at the very least, try to keep your utilization under 30%. We'd also know times get hard. So if you cannot keep up with your payments and keeping that utilization down, then at the very minimum, pay your minimum. Pay your minimum by your due date and go from there. But you make sure you don't miss not one payment. Missing a payment is going to lower your score more than a collection at this point. Like late payments are the worst things you can have. Yes, collections they sound bad, but honestly, late payments, they stick. So don't make sure you don't miss a payment. But in summary, your statement date, that date is the most important. That date, whatever balance you have on that date reports to the bureau. Whatever balance you have on that date also accrues interest. It accrues interest because the interest is tacked on based on the balance on the statement date, not on the due date. Whatever interest and whatever is, calculated on that statement date, that's what's going to be accounted for on your due date. That's what's going to be due. So that's why I said, it's best to pay as much down as you can before that statement date. So that way, when it reports to the bureaus, it reports a smaller balance. And then also, you're not taxed so much interest on a balance. You rather have interest on $100 than $300. So again, your statement date. Also, if you make sure that every due date it has a $0 payment. If you're going to pay by the statement date, make sure that the next month's due date says zero. If it does not, pay that minimum. Whatever it is, make sure you pay it by the due date, because that means that your balance and whatever you paid was not accounted for in the right amount of time for that due date. But again, I hope this helped you out a little bit with learning how to actually utilize your credit card to boost your credit scores. If you want any services from The Millionaire Table, make sure you go to www.themillionairetable.com. I also have DIY options, so you can always go to www.themillionairetableacademy.com, grab my book, Millionaire Secrets, and learn everything, all my hacks, tricks, tactics, everything that I use, consumer laws and everything, FCRA laws that are public information. You know, utilize all your resources. My book, FCRA laws, consumer law, utilize as much as you can, you know, and also utilize these free videos to help you. But anyways, I hope this video was very, very helpful. Again, www.themillionairetableacademy.com. I have a course called Credit Champ. That is for the person that wants to learn how to repair their own credit. I have a course called Credit Boss for that person that wants to learn how to start their own credit repair company. And then I have letters, or you can buy my entire ebook, or you can buy a printed copy and I'll sign it for you, you know. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning in, millionaires. Again, make sure you follow me on all platforms at Star Ericka and at The Millionaire Table. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe. And anything you guys want me to go over on this channel, drop it in the comments below. Have a great one.
Stepping on their neck, yeah, I'm going for the jugular. Steady flexing muscle, boy, you weak, get your paper. You better invest, flip a check, better show me up.